Okay. So, Shauna, you told me that you went to a networking event or a conference this past week and you acquired 4 clients from it and multiple meetings. I would love to know, as someone who is always hesitant to show up to networking events and put in the energy and the money and the time that that takes, I would love to know your process, your strategy, how this event went, and how it's compared to other events that you've gone to, and how you pick your. I just want to know all the things.
Well, you did hit the nail on the head when you say it's time consuming, it's money consuming, it all these consuming things that we don't want to put our energy into, right? But I think if you go into it knowing what your purpose is, then you're gonna gain a lot out of it. And conferences and networking events are kind of like two separate things, though networking does intertwine with conferences. Because a conference is strictly where you go and you learn things, right? Where a networking event is where you actually talk to people. There's no structure. It's just meet and greet and so forth. The conference that I went to, there was 4 days of learning, but during that time, you meet people, you exchange ideas, there's topics being discussed in these trainings that, if you sit next to somebody, you can have like a banter about, or you can like discuss your experiences and so forth. And so for me, when I approach going into conferences, and let me separate them between conferences and networking because I approach them separately. With conferences, I approach it with the intentions of learning something, right? Especially if it's something in my field that I know I need to stay up on top of. I will make sure that I go there with the intentions to learn. Now, I try to sit next to people I don't know, right? Sometimes I go to these conferences and I know people. I try to find somebody new and introduce myself. And again, it does help that I'm a little extroverted, so so I will sit next to people and, I will talk to them and, so tell me about yourself. And I'm the kind of person like, I like to ask questions. And even when you ask me a question about me, I turn it back around and ask you. So you're doing most of the talking because my goal is to get to learn about you because my strategy in that is to learn what your likes, your dislike, what kind of business you have, what your pain points, what your struggles. So even though you're interested in me, no, I'm interested in you because I want to know what are all your pain points because then now that puts something in my head say, okay, so you're struggling with this in your business. How can I support that? How can I fit into that role? And the only way I'm going to know that is if I give you the floor. But if I'm Marsha talking about myself the whole time, then I'm never going to get to understand you and your business so that I can potentially, get you as a client. So that's my
Okay.
strategy is to always
I like
back on you.
I like that. So you're in problem solver mode.
Yes, yes. And no matter what you ask me, I may answer your question, but I'll put back I'll answer your question with a question because I want your answer to determine what my next move is with you. It might be a little calculated, but like when you come to me and you're like, "Oh, Shauna, so what do you do for a living?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm not important. Tell me about you. I'm interested in you. What do you do?" And then when you start talking, and I'm like, wow. And so you're like, oh, so where do you live? Girl, don't worry about where I live. Where do you live? You seem like you're interesting. And I'll put every question back on you because that's my way of getting to know you so that I can understand how my services can fit within your company, within your life, within your operations. So that's how I approach conferences. Because you can't just generally start talking at a conference. You have to sit down and actually learn stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but it gives you the
It
opportunity
gives you
because if you're in a room with someone learning something, you kind of already know what their pain points are, right?
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And then
Hmm.
if it's a networking event, I try to personally work the room. I don't just stand in a corner and talk to the same person every for the entire night. I try to touch on every person. I interject myself not rudely, but I'll introduce myself. I'll walk over. Hey, I'm Shauna. Most of the time, you're wearing like a name tag or something, but I'll walk up to somebody and be like, "Hi, Marcia. Nice to meet you. Oh, I'm Shauna," and I'll make a joke about it, or something to kind of lighten the mood because people naturally gravitate to people they know. And I
Yeah.
don't know if you remember, Elle, but when we were doing our class together with the government contractor, one thing we were taught was people do business with people they know, they like, and they trust, right? And
Yeah, that's
so
very true.
my goal is to always make you know me, get to like me enough to trust me, and trust me enough to give me your business. And the only way you can do that is to open up to people and just be authentic and always give people room to share about themselves. So I work the room. Like I will work the room. I'll sometimes grab like, a water bottle or something and I'll have one or two in my hand. I see somebody standing, I'll hand them one and that starts the conversation.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a good idea. So you talk to everyone to get them to know you. You listen and ask questions to get them to like you. And then you start building that trust by solving problems for them.
Boom.
It's a good formula.
Yeah.
Okay. And being extroverted definitely helps there. What would your tips be for the introvert trying to follow your formula as an extrovert?
Yeah, I think for introverts, they still have to somehow, know that you're there for a reason, right? You don't just go to a event to stand in a corner by yourself. You go to actually network, and a part of networking is getting to know people, getting business out of it. So you still have to put it in your head to know that I'm here for this reason, and just kind of like be brave about it. One thing when I was growing up, I did a lot of public speaking, you know, as a teenager growing up in high school and all of that stuff. So anyway, did a lot of debates, public speaking, all of that stuff. And so one thing I was always taught was when you're nervous to always look at somebody's nose. Don't look them in the eye because that makes you a little bit more nervous. If you stare straight on their nose, you won't feel so scared and uncomfortable, right? And so I think that that worked for me when I was in my younger days and was just scared to go on stage and talk. But over time doing that, it becomes second nature. Now I can look you dead in the eye and talk to you.
Like that.
But
That's really helpful.
yeah, because you don't want to be talking to somebody and you're like looking over to the side, but you're talking to them. That seems so impersonal. But then if you're introverted and you're scared to look them in the eye, if you just focus on their nose, you're actually still looking at them in their face. So they think you're looking at them in their, in their eyes, but your eyes
Yeah,
are focused on their nose. And so that kind of like takes the pressure off of that eye to eye contact that people hate so much.
definitely. Because I struggle with that. Sometimes I don't know where to put my eyes and then I get flustered inside. Sometimes I'll start blushing just randomly, which is embarrassing, right? So I'm going to try just looking at the nose.
Yeah, try it and tell me how you think. Tell me what you
Yeah,
think.
definitely. Such little things can be so helpful.
It's the little things. And another tip I would have for somebody who's an introvert too, if you're just dead afraid of talking to somebody, always have business cards on you. Like I always have
Yeah.
business cards. I mean, they have these little cases that you can put your cards in and carry around. You can have those. And, if you're like me and you switch purses every other day, you just take that little card holder out and that goes with you everywhere. And so if you're at an event and you're unsure about yourself and you're just nervous, you don't want to talk to someone, just take out a card and say, "Hi, here's my card." And it's just that simple.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. You still showed up. I think, like, as an introvert, I've had to kind of practice the muscle. And so the more you show up, like, get yourself outside of the comfort zone, show up, give out your business cards, and then keep going and showing up to events and challenge yourself to reach out more and more. Maybe next time, talk to 3 people. The time
Right.
after that, talk to 5.
Right.
Just small improvements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a don't is you don't want to go at a conference or a networking event and you're just too much. We talked about that in another episode of you just coming on too strong. You're just being too much. Nobody likes a pushy salesperson. So you never want to be talking to somebody and it's like me, 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 me. This is what I do. Me, 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 me. And you're just handing out cards to everybody without stopping to just get to know people. So don't
Yes.
do that. Don't be pushy, don't just come on too strong. Just let conversations flow naturally. I'm a jokester. I have humor, and so sometimes I'll just say something, and people will just start laughing. And then next thing you know, we're best friends. I mean, just
Yeah.
left the conference and I was best friends with like half the room by the time we were done for the week because I just made sure that I touched on everyone and I touched on them in such a way where it wasn't me selling them or coming off too strong. It was me genuinely trying to make friends and get to know
Yeah.
people and just say, hey, let's stay in touch. You know, we live in the same surrounding. Let's go have coffee. And it's just stuff like that.
Yeah, I like that. So it's not just I mean, it's not just trying to talk to people, it's trying to get to know them
Yeah.
and not just trying to let them know you. It's trying to get to know them.
Yeah. People can tell authenticity. Yeah,
Yeah,
that word.
for sure. Yeah, yeah, it's a tough word to say.
They can see a fake person a mile away, so you're never gonna be that person that's so pushy and fake and just me.
Never. Yes. I love that. Those were really helpful tips, Shauna. So, say I am struggling with getting out there, networking, going to conferences. What would you tell me to do today to fix that?
First things first, find something to sign up for that you know you're interested in. If there's an art conference and you're an artist, you might want to go to that. You know, if it's a professional services conference, but it's a certain industry, go to the things that you know something about. If you're maybe you're a real estate agent. You may not want to go to a manufacturing conference because you probably can't relate to the people there. So, and even though you might think that there's tons of people there, I can maybe get business from them. And while that's good, you want to be able to relate to the people that you're meeting with or have, you know, some sort of connection. So I wouldn't just pick any networking event to just go to without doing some research, understanding what the industry is about, or just even the organization itself, just kind of like understanding those things so that when you go, you're fully prepared. Because the last thing you want to do is to be talking to someone and they're asking you a question and you look like a deer in headlights, like you look uninformed. So
Yes.
you just want to always be present and informed. So do your research.
Great. Okay. So, find an event that is relatable and interesting to you.
Exactly.
All right. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining. Thank you, Shauna, for sharing those insights. They're helpful to me. I feel like they can definitely be helpful to other people as well.
Yeah. Anytime.
Yeah. We'll catch you next time on Brandon Bang. Don't forget.